Hello, YouTube. It's Tuesday, December 28th, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just laying in bed alone, which is pretty much where I've been for the last couple of days. I don't know, haven't really felt the motivation to leave. Um, so, yeah, the last video ended pretty, yeah, it was not good. Um, haven't really heard from many people since. Of course, I guess it's to be expected. I didn't receive any Christmas texts because that phone got shut off. I was gonna call Assurance Wireless today and try to see what was up with that, but I just didn't even wake up. Um, so um, I did find where the Grand Canal intersects with I-17, and kind of as I anticipated, there's no way for pedestrians to cross there, which I think is a real fail. As much as the city of Phoenix is trying to make um, the of course, they haven't really done it west of the I-17, so I guess there's that. But the city of Phoenix has tried to make the Grand Canal into sort of a, pedestrian and bikeway, uh, which I think is great. I love the path. It pretty much ends at Indian School, near 23rd Avenue. Um, but yeah, if that's to continue, there definitely needs to be some kind of a pedestrian crossing. That's good for bicycles and micro mobility uh, over I-17, and that needs to that would be, of course, that would be between Thomas and Indian School, and I guess going west on that canal, it is mostly mostly an industrial area. In fact, come to think of it, I never really think much about that canal on the west side of I-17. As generally speaking, I just use that bike route on the east side. But come to think of it, I do regularly, at least I used to regularly go along that canal, as that's where Brightgate Recycling is. When I go to Brightgate Recycling, I usually go north up 35th Avenue and make a left shortly before Grand, and then make the next left by the weird recycled mattress place. And I forget the name of the street that I drive on, but it is right along. It is a very narrow road right along that canal, and I guess for some reason it never really connected that is also the Grand Canal, just because it's such a different angle and trajectory from where it goes through East Phoenix. But anyway, interesting walk, and I did some soul searching while I was on that walk. Um, it's kind of odd as I was going right as I got to the canal, and I was just kind of standing there, just sort of pondering in my head, where and how a pedestrian crossing would be added, and I guess being a little surprised that there was no form of, I don't know. I guess I kind of half expected that maybe there was some sort of a underpass there, for SRP service vehicles, but no, it just goes underneath. It just goes like in a little tunnel underneath the freeway. The water does. Um, there was a guy walking northbound on that access road. I forget what time of day that was. I guess, to be honest, it wasn't really late. I don't know, it was probably about 9:30 at night, maybe a little later, but I did see a guy walking with his two kids, which is an odd place to see anybody walking. But yeah, I walked on the northbound side of the canal. There's just dirt, so I was walking on the southbound side of the canal, which has it's not the nice, smooth cement pathway that's been added, was added about a year ago, but there's a um, asphalt path, which makes for a dang good bikeway, other than, once you get to that that northbound I-17 access road, you're connected to absolutely nothing. That's no place you want to end up on a bike because it's not really a bike friendly place to be. But yeah, it starts right there, and I walked along it, and I was kind of surprised by how many little homeless encampments I passed. Um, Basically makeshift shelters made out of like pallets and tarps and tents. And I saw one that just looked like it was basically a couple of shopping carts with some blankets stretched over them, making a space underneath. I assume there was somebody underneath there. Obviously, I'm not, you know, I could see some activity going on inside these tents. I'm just kind of, minding my own business, and I keep on walking. I'm sure these people don't want to be bothered, but I don't know. There was one tent that I passed that it sounded like there was a couple inside of it getting it on. I was just thinking to myself, damn, fucking homeless people in a tent got a better sex life than I do. That's fucked up. And and that got me thinking that during my periods of homeless, I've had a notably better sex life than I do right now, and that's kind of depressing. Which brings me to right now. Priscilla had sent me some messages on Snapchat as I was doing that walk, just telling me to snap out of it and come come to come to wander in and sing some songs, which I ended up doing. When I got to Indian School Road, oh, and it's interesting, right? So right where 23rd Avenue goes south of Indian School Road, which doesn't connect to Indian School Road. If you look at that area on a map, you can see 23rd Avenue. It's kind of a thoroughfare, but it misses connecting to Indian School Road by like a block. Um, and anywhere where the alley, it used to end at an alley and then like a uh, fire lane entrance that's of course completely fenced off at the south side of an apartment complex on Indian School there. Um, anyway, where the alley used to go west to the canal and then connect to the alley behind those houses, the alley's been replaced very recently. Like you can tell, it's brand new, newly laid cement, and it looks like they're still kind of working on something alongside of it, like maybe trying to put in some lighting or something. Um, yeah, there's a wide path and signs, indicating bike route, indicating that 23rd Avenue is a bike route going south, and then that the bike route continues on this path that has replaced the alley, which connects to the canal, which at this point is kind of headed north towards Indian School. Just south of the AM/PM there's a canal bridge in AM/PM, and I guess I knew that canal bridge was there. I guess I always think of Grand Canal as kind of going at an angle um, from Tempe and then headed uh, northwest, but yeah, it does kind of go more just directly east-west or it crosses the central corridor, and I've noticed that. But I guess I always forget about how it turns around and heads kind of back in a southwest direction and crosses Indian School again. But yeah, anyway, I walked up there, and kind of thought that was neat how it connected, to the southbound 23rd Avenue is a bike route, and I can see that as a good bike thoroughfare. 23rd Avenue is very very bikeable. Um, in fact, I always find it funny when I see somebody on a bicycle trying to go up 19th Avenue because it's not really safe for bikes, and I always kind of think to myself, it's like, well, why aren't you on 23rd Avenue? 23rd Avenue is very bikeable. I mean, there was a time back in the 90s where I was an avid cyclist, and yeah, I used to go down 23rd quite often just because it's and even then it didn't have the bike lanes painted that it has now. But I mean, you ask any cyclist, avid cyclist, and they'll tell you, paint is not infrastructure, and it's not the painted on bike lane that makes it good for for bicycles. What makes it good for bicycles is the fact that it's a nice wide road that doesn't have a lot of vehicle traffic on it, and it goes straight through. Where you can ride and keep to the right and be out of the way of vehicles and have plenty of space to ride in. That's what makes it a good, bikeable road. The painted on bike lanes are a plus, but it didn't substantially make it any better, or and the lack of it before it'd make it any worse for bicycles. Anyway, so when I got there, one thing that really kind of struck me odd is so I'm walking up. It's like suddenly it went from the old asphalt path to this nice new smooth cement path on the south side of the canal, which at this point is kind of like the west or sorry the east side of the canal. And at one point there's a really nice pedestrian bridge that crosses the canal, and then opposite of that there's like a pedestrian entrance into that large apartment complex, and both of which have been cut off. The pedestrian entrance, you can tell there's a gate there that has been permanently welded shut. And then on each side of the bridge, there's a big grill, like big bars that have been welded to make it to where that bridge is not accessible at all. So, yeah, nothing like spending a whole lot of money on nice pedestrian infrastructure and then spending more money to make it not accessible by pedestrians. But there we go. That's what we got going on. And I kind of saw why as I was walking along it. Watching on the other side of the canal, I could see, like at that point, that there's also a nice path on the other side of it. And I kind of wanted to go there just to check out, where that path went, since it wasn't on the other side of the canal where I got on it, where it started there at I-17, where of course you can't pass if you're a pedestrian. Um, but I decided against it because there was this big encampment of, I don't know if they were just homeless people or loitering people or whatever, but it's a large encampment and there was some fires going on next to the building there. And it looked like there were, people doing drugs or selling drugs or, God knows what there. And but quite a large amount of people milling about. And then a van went southbound on that pedestrian pathway. And at first I thought it was a police van, and then there were people, the people that were loitering there yelling at the other people, "Hey, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the road, get out of the road." Which I'm thinking, wow, it's not even a road, but it's not a place you should be loitering either. Um, and then the van stopped, and a couple people walked up to it. At first, I thought it was a police van or maybe some kind of a government municipal van, but it wasn't. And I don't really know what happened. I just kind of watched from the other side of the canal, and then when it became clear that really nothing was going on, I continued to walk north towards Indian School. And mind you, this is just a wee bit south of Indian School, like you can see and hear Indian School Road from there. And then when I got to Indian School Road, there's a hawk right there, not on the side of the canal with the path that I was on, which pretty much ended at Indian School Road, but yeah, it would have been nice to be able to cross the other side on that nice big wide pedestrian bridge, but that's all there are bars where you can't get across it that have been welded to make that bridge inaccessible. So I had to walk on the the south side of the sidewalk pedestrian bridge on Indian School Road, which is very narrow. But I got across that, and then right on the other side there's a bus stop with a bus shelter, and then there's a hawk that goes, the canal crosses at kind of an angle, about a 45-degree angle there. And there is a hawk that takes you where the path continues along the canal, which I did not follow. I could hear people further up the path in the darkness arguing, and that didn't really make me want to walk in that direction. And then right there's an AM/PM, a really sketchy ghetto AM/PM. With God knows just a lot of really questionable activity going on by the gas pumps. Um, anyway, I just kind of popped in there, got myself a can of guava nectar and some kind of munchies. I forget what the hell I got. I got something to snack on with the EBT card, and went to. I thought I had this camera aimed at my face, and I realized I have it aimed at the crack out my bedroom door. It's very dark in my bedroom, which is how I like it. Dark like my soul. Anyway, it was amusing to, use the hawk and watch all the traffic on Indian School stop while I just walked over to the AM/PM. And the same sort of thing as when I did my little video about the hawk there on Van Buren Street. The same thing happened when the lights started blinking. The guys at front, instead of realizing that, oh yeah, there's nobody in the crosswalk and I can go now, just sat there, and then the people behind them started just wailing on their horns. But in spite of that, the people at the front didn't start moving until the blinking red light shut off, because nobody knows how to read signs, and nobody knows, how to actually follow those, what those, how they're supposed to act to those. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't know how. And, oh yeah, and I got told that I was a bad person for, um, saying, for pointing out there's a lot of people on the light rail that don't speak English. I'm like, oh, how's that a bad thing? Really? How's that not a bad thing? Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I got the munchies, and then I ended up using the Hawk to cross Indian School again, and check the bus schedule. And in theory, I walked to that bus stop right on time, but at this point, the buses on Indian School were running every half hour. And once again, the one that was scheduled to show up in like 2 minutes after I got there never showed up. It did the thing where in the app where I clicked on it and saw it. Oh, it's going to be here 2 minutes, and then I click it to see the real time tracking, and it says tracking's not available for that bus. And I zoomed out and went, a few miles down the road in each direction, and yeah, there's no visible bus. And I stood there just to make sure, well, maybe it's, maybe the tracking's not working, but no bus came, and there was a person sitting on the bus stop. Now, honestly, I think that guy was just loitering. I don't think he was waiting for a bus, which seems to be, 3/4 of the people that are sitting at bus stops. But anyway, yeah, I waited there until about 3 minutes after it was supposed to show up, and it never showed up. And then I kind of went down the line, and yeah, so that bus not running, which means that between the bus that was there, before I showed up and the next bus that was coming, there would have been a whole hour of no bus on Indian School. So way to go, City of Phoenix, with your transit system. So yeah, I didn't feel like spending another, 28 minutes sitting there waiting for another Indian School bus. And since I really needed to get to McDowell anyway, I walked over to 19th Avenue. It's kind of neat. Walked by an apartment complex I used to live in there when I was in my early 20s. And kind of marveled at how much the retail has gone downhill in the last, 28 years in that neighborhood. I mean, to the north, like there's a big strip mall there. And I remember when I lived there, that was a fairly new strip mall. And it was anchored by a brand new Albertsons, and in the parking lot was a rather nice Mexican restaurant called Dos Pesos. Actually, I think it was actually called 2 Pesos, and then at the end of the little strip mall, there's like 2 chunks of strip mall. And there's a smaller chunk that was near Indian School Road. At the end, I remember there used to be a pretty nice video rental place, and I don't remember what has taken the place of the video rental place, but the most notable, obvious signs of decline is that Albertsons is now a food city, and that 2 Pesos is a check cashing place, and it has been a check cashing place for a long time. So, yeah, when your restaurants get replaced with check cashing places, the neighborhood is going to shit. In fact, you can really tell how shitty a neighborhood is by its ratio of bank branches to check cashing and payday loan places. So, anyway, there's a CVS on the corner there. That didn't used to be there when I lived in that neighborhood on the southwest corner. And I ended up waiting for the 19th Avenue bus southbound, which came along fairly quickly. And that was kind of funny. Like, it's kind of weird, like the difference in the way bus drivers act regarding fare. As I got on the 19th South and I went to swipe my pass, the guy just kind of waved me on, like, didn't say anything to me, just kind of waved me on, like, don't worry about it. And so I just walked back, sat down, like, whatever. And wrote it down to, by the Coliseum, and transferred over at 19th Avenue and Grand and McDowell to the McDowell Road bus, which thankfully showed up on time. Didn't get the excitement of having an Indian School bus wander down that road this time, unfortunately. But yeah, I got on a McDowell Road bus. And of course he had me, swipe my pass, which is what you're supposed to do. And it seems like about halfway to wander in, there was a guy that got on that bus that I don't know exactly what was going on, but if he whipped out a card or tried to swipe a card or something, but the bus driver was like, I just overheard part of the conversation. Mind you, I usually sit near the back where the exit door is, so that when the bus arrives at its destination, I can quickly depart. And but I just overheard the bus driver saying, "Hey, that's not a bus card. That's not a bus card." And then I saying, "Well, can I just sit down until I get to where I can get one or something like that?" And he argued with the guy for a while. I mean, I want to say 2-3 minutes sitting there arguing with the guy. I mean, it seems like it'd be pretty simple. Either, you don't have fare, get off, or, yeah, it sucks to be you, but, Merry Christmas, have a seat. It could go one of two ways, but I don't see the point of arguing it while the bus proceeds to get behind schedule for all the rest of us that are riding it. But yeah, he argued with this guy, and at one point he kind of raised his voice. He's like, "What you're asking for is to ride without paying the fare." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not." And I'm thinking, well, kind of, yeah, you are. I still didn't see the point of arguing about it. Anyway, eventually the guy's just like, "Just go sit down." Just like, I think I was just going to let him sit down. I don't understand why he had to be such an ass about it. Just have the guy go sit down and quit wasting everybody else's time. Anyway, the bus did manage to get back on schedule before I got to wander in, and I got to wander in to find out that Priscilla was not there. I did see some people that I liked. I had an okay time, I guess. I mean, I was massively depressed, which didn't make it very. I don't know. I just kind of kept to myself. There were some people that seemed really genuinely glad to see me and kept saying hi, and I was just in such pain inside that I couldn't even really hold a conversation with them, other than just saying kind of thank you and Merry Christmas and kind of going back by myself. I did have a conversation with a woman that I'd never met before, who oddly reminded me of my sister Melissa. I can't fully put a finger on why she did, but she did, and. So I had a guy on the bus that actually, as I was riding out to Bullocks on Christmas Day, that had whipped out a really nice, like not very much circulated, newer Canadian $10 bill, which was very colorful and oddly translucent. And I thought that was pretty neat. And he had said something about and he looked homeless, and it said something about how somebody had given it to him, and somebody had given it to him, they didn't know what he would do with it or what it was even worth. And I'm like, he asked if I wanted it. I'm like, yeah, that's really neat. I ended up just giving a $5 for it. I said, it's probably worth more than that. But I said, all things considered, I think that's a pretty good exchange rate for late Christmas night on a public bus. And he just kind of laughed and said, thank you. So anyway, so I still had that $10 in pocket. So I thought it'd just be kind of funny when Lorraine came up to me at the bar to hold it out and say, hey, how many shots can I get for this? When she just kind of gave me a look and rolled her eyes. I'm like, I'm just kidding. I have American money. It's all good. But I ended up getting a Sailor Jerry and Coke just because I was so not in the mood for beer, and just wasn't really in the mood to be around people, to be honest. The main reason I even went there was because Priscilla had said she was there, which of course turned out to be a lie because she wasn't. But yeah, come sing a song with me. Yeah, you're not here. In fact, I was there for probably, I want to say maybe 2 hours before she finally showed up, maybe more. And I just sat by myself and drank my very strong rum drink. Anyway, there was a woman that was sitting next to me when I whipped out the Canadian, and we started talking about Canadian money and exchange rates and how she had been to Canada and how I had been to Canada, a long time ago. My ex-wife, family being from Montreal, and how I really like Montreal. She's like, I've been to Montreal. I've been to Quebec. And then come to find out she wasn't from Quebec. She's from British Columbia, which is like the opposite of Quebec. They're not from British Columbia. They've been there. Anyway, at one point, just out of nowhere, she goes, you seem really nervous. I was just like, wow, okay. It's like, I'm in a lot of pain, at this point, I don't even think I really continued talking to her after that. I don't remember what I said, but it was kind of awkward, and then I just walked away. Anyway, my friend Nancy was there. It was good to see her, and she was just trying to cheer me up. Not that it really worked, but she's trying. And the KJ, of course. Kimmy's always nice. It's always nice to see Kimmy. But yeah, I sang a handful of songs. Got pretty good crowd response from what little crowd was there. And my singing felt like it was mostly on point, for me being still a little congested. But yeah, Priscilla finally showed up like after 1 a.m. Didn't really talk much once she showed up, and she did give me a ride home. Yeah, once I got home, like I climbed in bed and wasn't interested in being in bed with me at all, and hasn't been. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. She did come to bed with me. My bad. She did, but she ended up. I was clearly really depressed, and instead of trying to maybe give me a little sexual healing to put me in a better place, she just Oh, she laid like towards the end of the bed with her torso or with her lower body like hanging off the bed awkwardly at an angle, which made it very off. And then fell asleep like that, fully clothed. Not cool. Um, Meanwhile, I was naked in bed, of course, not getting touched at all, and um, it just made it difficult for me to try to find like she was all on my blanket, so it made it difficult for me to even try to get comfortable and get to sleep. And so I just kind of watched YouTube until eventually I got to sleep. Um, and I had commented on some YouTube video. I forget what it was, but people talking about just hearing or not wanting to hear from people in family during the holidays, during Christmas. And I had commented, I'm like, yeah, well, I won't be hearing from any family for Christmas because my phone got shut off yesterday. And then some asshole responded to that with, but yet you're on the internet. Like, yeah, my internet is on. So is my gas. So is my electricity. What's that have to do with my phone? It's funny how young generations can't seem to understand that internet and phone service are not the same thing. But I guess, that's the stupidity of the younger generation, and that is what it is. So, um, anyway, I finally just kind of got my depressed ass to sleep, and I've pretty much been asleep since. I've got up a couple of times to eat and walk across the kitchen to put the various phones on my charger. Um, I don't know, at one point I kind of woke up with Priscilla and was trying to make out with her, and then she's just like, oh, I don't, well, you got cooties. I don't want nothing. I don't want you touching me. And then she left. I'm like, wow, that was real swell. Anyway, I woke up. I'm not sure what time I woke up. I want to say probably about 10 p.m. And now it's after 1. In fact, it's 1:30 in the morning. But yeah, I woke up at 10 p.m. And now Priscilla did work today. I heard her on the phone in the afternoon. Um, but yeah, I woke up at 10 p.m. to find out that she is gone. And it is now 1:30 in the morning, and she still hasn't come home. And no message on any kind of messages or anything as to where she's at or what she's doing or who she's doing. Yeah, no Christmas love for me. Obviously, I'm not very, not important enough to her for her to be here for me. There I am, alone. Anyway, I wish I could just go to sleep and stay asleep for the rest of the year because I've about had it with this year. But at this point, I'm kind of awake. I did get a message from my daughter on Snapchat said that Priscilla is really ableist, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? She said she doesn't really have a clue what you go through. I'm just like, yeah, probably not. I said that I slept for about 24 hours. I just woke up and she's gone. And then my daughter wrote back that, a normal person would realize that sleeping for 24 hours is an indication that something is wrong and maybe be trying to help. But I don't know. She's off doing whatever she's doing with whoever she's doing it with. Just not here with me. So, not gonna lie, there are times like this that I honestly think about changing the locks on the door. So when she gets home, she can't get in. But that would be pretty fucked up considering that she paid most of last month's rent. Speaking of rent, I don't know that I have enough to cover my half. I haven't really been paying much attention to my money this month. My YouTube or my eBay sales, I can't say I didn't have any, but they're way down this month. But I did have that private party, which paid me quite a bit of extra money, and I have tried to kind of tuck that away. Plus, they gave me a lot of food, which kind of helped me spend less on food like the week after that. So, and I've been living uber frugally. So, I don't know. I don't know if I have money for for rent. I mean, one of my big expenses right now is still storage for all my stuff, and I do at some point need to try to find the motivation to get up, but it's been kind of chilly out. But get up and head down to pack and store and try to get at least one of my smaller storage units emptied. That would save me $45, and that would really make a difference. But I keep saying I'm going to do that. Shit, at one point I was thinking about even when I went by U-Haul trying to get a job there, and I keep, not catching the manager there. and they're really eager to hire somebody, but they don't have anybody there to hire somebody. And of course, so the first person I talked to, they sent me to some website. I'm like, I don't really have a computer, dude. Um, yeah, so sick of filling out web forms for jobs and never hearing. It just feels like a big waste of my time filling out web forms. I don't want to fill out web forms. I want to actually talk to somebody about when I'll be working and what kind of work they want done. But anyway, when I was there, I noticed, that they sell cardboard boxes, and they're kind of pricey. And not pricey, but it seems like they're $1 each or something like that. And I was thinking, damn, like a sizable portion of my larger storage unit is just honestly just filled with empty boxes that I mostly got. These have come from various places. A lot of them came from Gilligan's, but I keep reusing them, and I use them for bundling up recycling and for packing stuff. But for the most part, I'm spending way too much money on storage to store a bunch of empty boxes. And I'm thinking, God, man, maybe people actually need those if I put it up on Phoenix List, on Reddit, and put it up on. I want to say Craigslist, but I'm not spending $5 for a listing for that on Craigslist. But also, I could put it on. Um, oh God, I have an app for selling stuff. I mean, other than eBay, it's not something worth eBaying. But shit, I forget the name of it. OfferUp. I think I put it on OfferUp. Maybe I could get some people that actually just want boxes. And my God, even if I get an extra $10 or $20 off of selling some boxes, A, I would have less boxes taking up space, and B, I mean, $20 would, honest to God, $20 is a lot of money for me right now. So that would be great. And I've been meaning to go down there and do that, but I just can't seem to find the motivation to get out of bed or deal with, the god awful public transit between here and there. It's been so wet and chilly outside that makes me not want to go outside. So I don't know, it's just so much more comfortable being in the dark shroud of sleep. Anyway, God, I've been rambling to myself here for over a half hour. It's now 1:33 in the morning, so I should just wrap this up. Sure would like to fucking know where my so-called girlfriend is. Yeah. Meanwhile, people in Redditors telling me I deserve somebody who wants to be with me, wants to sleep with me, but it's not an easy thing to find when you're broke and you're over 50. Yeah, no woman wants a dude that's over 50 and doesn't even drive. Pretty much fucking useless these days. But I'm still here. I'm really looking forward to another day, but I'm still here.